Hi everyone, this video will show you how to write a strong constructed response, which is very similar to a body paragraph. It's easy to earn a 3 out of 3 if you follow and practice these 7 steps. So step 1 is to understand the prompt. Before you can successfully respond to a constructed response item, you have to understand how the responses actually work. So each prompt includes a task or a request for the writer to accomplish. In other words, it tells the student what to do in order to complete the required item. Keep in mind it may be a question or a command. Look for words like explain, analyze, compare, contrast, or describe. The last sentence then includes specifications that the student needs to incorporate in order to prove his or her answer. For example, use multiple details or use information from the passage. Here's an example of a constructed response prompt. What can you infer about the poet's personality based on the poem? Use evidence from the poem to support your analysis. Underlined in blue is your task. Make inferences about the poet's personality. Then underlined in green is a specification. Use evidence from the poem. Now that you understand the breakdown of a prompt, let's move on to step 2. So steps 2 and 3 go together. You can combine the steps into one sentence or write multiple sentences. Step 2 is restate the question or command. Think of this as your main idea, your topic sentence in the body paragraph. You need to remember that only your response and not the prompt is read. So you must provide context and the response must make sense all on its own. In order to do so, reword the prompt and provide a brief response. Also, include the text title and author's name in the first sentence. To help with clarification, avoid using pronouns and use specific nouns instead. For instance, state the character's name. Step 3 is a continuation of step 2. Provide a general answer to the prompt. The first sentence should include a restatement of the prompt and a general answer with no details. This sentence serves as a topic sentence that introduces your main idea and leads into the specific details or points and examples to follow. Many students often provide details that are too specific in the opening sentence, and this leaves no room for the paragraph to develop and usually makes it sound redundant. So if we use the same prompt from earlier, we can write a strong topic sentence. Based on the poem Possibilities after Wisława Szymborska, multiple inferences about the poet's personality can be made. This statement provides context, which is the title of the poem, restates the prompt, and provides a general answer by stating multiple inferences can be made. The next example is missing context because it doesn't actually state the poem's title. The third example doesn't respond to the prompt. It simply says that the poem is interesting. And the last example is too specific, for it provides a detail and not a brief answer. Try to stay away from using because in the opening statement. Usually details will be revealed right after. So once you have your main idea, you need evidence to support it. Step 4 is skim the text. You wouldn't have been able to provide a general answer to the prompt if you hadn't considered specific details beforehand. The synthesis, which is the combination of ideas to form a theory, or a conclusion of relevant textual details, helps you develop the topic sentence. You should already know what details you are looking for. It's just a matter of locating the precise information. Don't reread the entire passage. It's a waste of time. Your eyes should quickly read or skim each line for certain words or phrases. Step 4 then leads to step 5. Cite multiple relevant textual details. The details that you include in your response are the proof that your general answer is in fact correct. To make sure you completely support your main idea, use 3 textual details. All details must be different from one another. No detail should be repetitive. Look in various sections of the text for multiple details to ensure that you are not repeating the same thing over and over again. You should also make sure your details are relevant, that they truly back or support what you're trying to prove. For a more mature style, incorporate textual evidence within your own sentences. In other words, weave the author's words into your own sentences. You should never have a quotation standing alone as a complete sentence, or worse yet, as an incomplete sentence in your own writing. IVCC's style book explains this concept well with an analogy that describes quotations as helium balloons. We all know what happens when you let go of a helium balloon. It just flies away. In a way, the same thing happens when you present a quotation that is standing all by itself in your writing, a quotation that is not held down by one of your own sentences, clauses, or phrases. The quotation will seem disconnected from your own thoughts and from the flow of your sentences. Let's look at an example. The poet is most likely female. I prefer lilies in a bouquet, and I prefer the flashy high-heeled shoes. Notice that this style is simplistic, it's choppy, and it's even redundant. The evidence has flown away from the inference. But the sentence, the poet is most likely female, for she prefers lilies in a bouquet, and flashy high-heeled shoes, is concise, smooth, and mature. The poet's words are blended into the response writer's own words. So once you've added all your evidence, it's time to move on to step 6, end with why the evidence fits. This provides closure to your paragraph and should answer the question, so what, and what do these details prove? In order to do so, wrap up your response with an explanation or an interpretation of the evidence. This is an example of a concluding sentence for a constructed response to the earlier prompt. By reading possibilities after Wisława Szymborska, the audience can infer that the poet is a fit, imaginative, optimistic woman who may someday wish to relocate to the South. The sentence reminds the audience of the main idea, what is being proven, and concludes with an explanation of all the details. So this is the so what aspect. Finally, moving on to step 7, it refers to proofreading. Reread only your response. So that means do not read the prompt and then your response. Just read your response. If it doesn't make sense without the original prompt, you need to revise and clarify. Finally, if you struggle with paragraph format, try one of these acronyms to guide you in your writing. There's RACE, the sexy paragraphs, and also RAPs. Don't forget to take a look at the peer analysis paragraph copy change examples in the same folder that you found this video in Blackboard to use as a guide for your own peer analysis paragraph.